Not super far down, but another round like this and I'm dead. And here comes a finisher if he needs it. I go for the shield airdrop, and my opponent does as well. I'm not too sure what he's really worried about. He does add armor on the Wraiths, which I think is actually not good. Even the level 1 Wasps here are doing some about 400 damage against the Wraiths. So if you negate 120 of that, it's going to be an amount, but not all that much. These Wasps, which are doing something like 800 damage, not going to care a whole lot. My opponent does add more of the anti-air fortresses. I now already have Scorpions into fortresses, so I'm not too unhappy at this. I start putting double shot on them, and I unlock a Wraith of my own to tank some of the fortress missiles here. Because Wraiths are actually pretty good at doing that. I also add an additional Scorpion. Against Mass Fortress, that is definitely a good choice, I think. Maybe, considering what I know now, Melters would have been better. But hindsight is always better. I sold something, yeah, I sold this Scorpion and instead leveled the tower to level 2. I think it is time to sell out of that and just go on one side. So we'll see how effective this Wraith is at tanking fortress missiles. You can definitely see it taking not all that much damage, and now my Wasps are right now mostly uncontested, even though this fortress still gets a massive salvo off. Some more missiles are being tanked. The big question still is, can I take this out? Well, with the additional Wasps here, I can actually take it out, I think. Yeah, I can. That was close. Scorpions hitting these fortresses, definitely doing a ton of damage. But now I have a tower debuff on myself, and under the tower degradation, I do get to kill that fortress, but it's no longer enough. My force gets wiped out, and I go down to about 700 HP. Speaking of more anti-air, and speaking of melters, Phoenixes and Stormcrawlers, I think everything here has a viability. Except for the Phoenixes. On my end, that is. My opponent goes for EMP missile melters. And I'm still thinking about what I'm taking, but I think I decide to take the Stormcrawlers. Yeah. I wanted to say melters for a point, but I was kind of retracing my train of thought. I already have the Scorpions for DPS. So I think I just go for the, what's it called, for the Stormcrawlers. Which in the future, potentially fire. Definitely a lot of DPS and 3 levels of Stormcrawlers. Almost 3000 damage per shot, and they shoot 16 missiles per salvo. That is enough to finish a fortress, I think. I go with another level into these Wasps, and I sold the Steel Balls to give them portable shield. Not sure if I did that this round or the last round. I also gave them EMP. Because if I can disable the fortress missiles, these Wasps are gonna be sitting pretty. I'm also not sure if Melters into Scorpions is good, because, yeah, Melters kinda get absolutely shredded by this. The missiles do come out. My opponent EMPs my entire front, but my front doesn't really have anything that is, like, what is it really going to do? EMP disabling the armor, now completely shredding. And the fortresses should be getting EMP'd. Well, no, they are not getting EMP'd, they are outright getting destroyed now that I'm winning the chaff war super hard. The Melters getting EMP'd means no more EMP on my Scorpions. And that means that the Scorpions, along with all of the chaff that would have tanked anyway, and the Melters that couldn't really have done anything anyway, are now actually obliterating. Don't think this is enough damage, but it's definitely a big turnaround from the last round. The Wasps being behind a single Wraith that is baiting all of the anti-air missiles is definitely working well. However, my opponent gets gifted Lightning Storm. And there is no way that I can protect these wasps realistically. I can't give them so much HP that they survive the 2000 damage strikes. I already have shield here, but I can't have more shield on the wasps. As I said, sometimes the game is painful. I counter Lightning Storm. It is going to be the last round most likely, so who cares? My opponent is going even further into fortresses. He added Fang production. I'm actually not that much a fan of Fang production into Scorpions, because realistically the Scorpion AoE will just kill the Fangs with the fortress. He does add a fortress here, obviously hoping to get that tower a lot more quickly. Realistically, I think this fortress might need to be... Is that new? I think it is new. It has to be new. That should be repositioned further here. Like, I think it would do a lot better job here. I now do drop a melting point. What do I even drop that for? I don't recall. Drop another melting point. Why did I drop melters all of a sudden? Anyhow, my opponent also invests into some missile devices, I guess to kill these very vulnerable Stormcallers. Why did I go for melters here? Oh yeah, right, now I remember. Because I was expecting all of my wasps to die, and then there's nothing to kill these wraiths. That's why I went for them. Now, fun fact, the wasps are dead, most of them. There's a few that survived. And they are doing great damage. But I am actually happy that I have something to kill these wraiths. Because that wraith we're feeling against just a handful probably would have been bad. Then again, it was out of range of everything. Because I have such a long range army and everything that it could have healed off got missiled. So now, I have a Scorpion that is still being covered by the few wasps that survived, moving in along with everything else. And there's just not enough for my opponent to hang on. The battle ends despite all of my wasps that I had been relying on being killed. I legitimately think that the Wraith could have made a lot of difference if it got all of the other wasps, because then I would have had no more anti-air, and that means my opponent would automatically win the round. But in the end, it worked out. I managed to pull through, and I'm very happy about that. I think my opponent kind of should have invested into upgrades here. Into temporary buffs. He should have sold like stuff here. Could have sold these Mustangs and afforded at least one of... Well, he could have afforded both of these upgrades. He already had the field recovery unlocked. So I definitely think my opponent made some big mistakes, and that was allowing me to win here. This fortress here could have made a lot more difference. But in the end, a win is a win, and I'm happy with that. And I hope to win some more in the future. Because let me tell you, the game has not been going well for me in that tournament. I am down to well over 1500 MMR. I'm back down to in the mid 1400s, and it's looking more and more like it's a race down to the 1400 and below. But I don't want to be depressed about it. I realize that getting depressed about this is having a very negative impact on... I'm not sure I want to call it my life as a whole, but definitely on my sleep. Because I did not sleep well in the night after all of that happened. After the tournament and then the very frustrating other matches that I played. Some matches that I didn't show because they weren't good enough. I hope to win a lot more in the future. But at the end of the day, I think it's just practice and maybe getting a little less unlucky. Because I have been getting a bit unlucky. Anyhow. I hope you had fun watching and listening to this. I hope I will come back to you with a lot more wins and a lot more positive news. And, well, I hope to see you again among the viewers and listeners and have fun with if you're playing the game, have fun with it and don't get too frustrated, because I can tell you now from experience that getting frustrated is not worth it and just a lot of hassle. And please, have more fun playing this. Until then.